What's up guys, in this map story we're going to talk about the bizarre and real story of the Roofman, a man who executed one of the strangest crime sprees in American history. These days, a movie about him starring Channing Tatum is being released, and honestly, it's a pretty bizarre story to turn into a Hollywood drama film if you ask me, but whatever. Alright, this time we're at Charlotte, North Carolina. On the 26th of December 2004, the people of Charlotte were eating a nice Christmas dinner. But inside this ordinary scene, in different hideouts inside ToysRUs store, an extraordinary secret was unfolding. For months, hidden just a few feet near unsuspecting families, one man had built a life in the shadows. As I understood, he carved out a shelter in the crawl space of ToysRUs, came down at night to steal food, shower unseen in the employee restroom, and then vanish back into the darkness. This man was no random drifter. He was Jeffrey Allen Manchester, once a soldier in the US Army's elite Airborne Division. This guy was literally trained to jump behind enemy lines and to survive without being seen, but instead he used his skills for crime. Jeffrey married young at just 20, and within a few years the marriage collapsed. In 1999 he found himself without a family, without stability, and without a clear future. You see, Jeffrey was a unique man who could have built a promising civilian career, but instead his life slowly spiraled out of control. The thing is that Jeffrey didn't want a normal job. He refused to fade into the background of suburban America. Instead, he turned to the only skill he knew best: survival and infiltration. But this time, his targets weren't overseas, it was the rooftops and ceilings of places like McDonald's and ToysRUs. Unlike ordinary criminals, Jeffrey had a different approach. He didn't smash windows or storm through the front doors, he went above them. Through the ceilings, ventilation shafts, and door panels, he entered buildings unseen. And it began with McDonald's. One after another, different McDonald's across several streets were struck by this roofman who slipped in through the roof, moved silently, and robbed the place while surprisingly being super polite to the employees. Dozens of robberies later, investigators were baffled. They had no suspect, only a pattern. Someone was coming from above. Each break-in followed the same eerie formula: a man who could enter unseen, take whatever he wants, and then vanish back into the night. The media gave him the name Roofman. But in 2000, Roofman's streak came to an end. Police finally caught Jeffrey. During one of his heists, an employee noticed him and managed to alert the police by pressing a silent alarm button. And that's it, he was caught. The court handed down a crushing sentence: 45 years in prison. At just 27 years old, Jeffrey's double life seemed to be over. The Roofman legend was supposed to end behind bars. But Jeffrey had no intention of spending the rest of his life in a cell, and in 2004 he managed a daring escape. He constructed a black-painted platform to conceal himself in the undercarriage of a delivery truck. A new life. That new life began in Charlotte, North Carolina. There, Jeffrey pulled off one of the strangest stunts in American crime history. He found his way into different hideouts inside ToysRUs and made it his home. For months he lived in a small hideout within the store, sneaking down at night to steal and eat food, shower in the employee restrooms, and then return to his hidden lair. Below him, life went as usual. Parents shopped for toys, teenagers worked behind the counters, but somewhere around them, behind the walls, a man was silently living. Not such a fun idea for a movie, right? Jeffrey wasn't content with just surviving, so he used a false identity and slipped into Charlotte society, joined the church, and in one of the most bizarre twists of all, he even started dating Lee, a single mother who had no idea she was dating one of America's most wanted fugitives. But by the end of 2004, Jeffrey's double life was starting to crack. He had moved and now was hiding in an abandoned circus city near ToysRUs, sleeping under a staircase and telling his girlfriend and the people of the church that he worked as a government agent, but he was planning something bigger. Jeffrey wanted to rob ToysRUs the day after Christmas because he knew there will be a lot of money there. So Jeffrey was preparing for what he imagined as his final job. So on December 26, 2004, while families were still busy with Christmas leftovers and holiday shopping, the Roofman struck again. He slipped into ToysRUs. As usual, he spoke softly, trying to calm his captives, but for the first time, two workers managed to escape and called the police. When officers arrived, the roofman was already gone, but the chase didn't last long. Police searched the nearby Circuit City and found his hidden hideout. Inside, ironically, they found a copy of Catch Me If You Can that carried his only identifiable fingerprint. The discovery stunned everyone, a fugitive who had been living for months right in the middle of the city, hidden in plain sight. Now with the help of the fingerprints, they finally identified him, and when the news are out and his mugshot is everywhere, his girlfriend Lee identifies him and agrees to help police. She phones Jeffrey and invites him over. He arrived, walking directly into the hands of waiting officers. Roofman's strange way of living was finished. In his sentence, a North Carolina court tried him for 40 years, and he is expected to be out in the year 2036.